Welcome. Hope you are doing well. And tonight we are going to be discussing being in situations in life and going through situations and experiences in life where you are put in a position to have to grow, put in a position to have to grow through whatever situation you are necessarily going through. So when you are in a situation like this, you can look at it as it is what it is. I'm in the situation for what situation I'm in, and I gotta do what I've gotta do in order to make it through the situation, in order to grow from the situation, in order to go through the situation in a way where it is advancing your growth, advancing your development and your progress when it comes to that point moving onward. And as far as going through situations that you're forced to grow or forced to recognize that, it is what it is, thus leading to you growing up and leading to you being able to develop through the experience and onward, is going through these circumstances and going through these experiences. For example, mentally going through or dealing with any kind of situation as far as it comes to having a point where you are forced to reckon with difficult thoughts, or you're forced to reckon with a situation that you're in and the stress or the influence that it has on your mind state and the effect that the situation is having, or the way that the situation is playing out in regards to your mind state, your mentality. I think that a lot of people, when they deal with any sort of uncomfortability when it comes to mentally, they want to flee from that, or they want to find as much mental safety or crutch, in other words, to feel and retreat to a space or a state of mind or a state when it comes to the mental state of being that is most comfortable to them. But being in a difficult situation, or in a situation where you find yourself having that stress or that stimuli in regards to your mental state of being, where you are put into a situation where you are needing to grow on from this situation and not necessarily get taken out or get, let's say, held back or just taken back when it comes to mentally, or challenged when it comes to mentally by this situation. So I think a lot of people, they like to retreat, or they like to go to something that they have comfortably, some sort of mental crutch or whatever, but realizing that you've got to say, whatever I'm going through, it is what it is. I'm going through it. There's no other explanation for it other than this is something I'm going through. So why am I not gonna actually grow through this, instead of just trying to find comfortability or just trying to skate by or get through that circumstance like very quickly, or with the path of least resistance? Why don't you actually go through and then grow through what you're going through? Therefore, you can grow from this situation. You can grow from this certain experience when it comes to mentally. How can you grow on from these experiences that you're dealing with when it comes to mentally? Anything that you're dealing with when it comes to mentally is mentally being able to move on. Mentally being able to see everything as clear-minded as you possibly can. Taking that perspective that you have when it comes to mentally, a clear perspective that should be when it comes to mentally, that you're bringing into this situation, and seeing that things are for what they are. Don't fall under any delusion when it comes to the way that you're perceiving the mental situation that you're involved in. Don't fall into any gimmicks when it comes to person, places, or things, or the influence that those might have on your mental perspective or the mind state that you're in when it comes to, in regards to the situation that you're dealing with in that situation that's at hand. Only perceive it through what you know is true, and for what you can confirm is true. And you can confirm what is true based upon reflecting from past experiences, reflecting through the experience that you are going through directly, and kind of reasoning with, okay, using logic, not only using logic, but using your intuition when it comes to, emotionally how you feel about the situation, and being able to derive or really break that down with your mentality and be able to see the situation for what it is, see the perspective for what it is, and look at it and be in view of the situation that you're going through, whether that's a difficult situation, whether that's a challenging situation when it comes to a situation that you're in when it comes to mentally, whether that's something that's uncomfortable that you're dealing with when it's a situation that comes to mentally, whether that's something that you don't want to experience when it comes to a situation you're dealing with when it comes to in regards to your mentality or your mental state of being. You realizing it is what it is. I gotta just grow up. I gotta just grow and realize that certain things are perspiring and certain things will perspire. This will happen. You will have to go through challenging things. That's something that's undeniable. And if you're watching this right here, you know that there's challenges when it comes to mentally. You know that there's stuff that you go through when it comes to mentally that it's much a better way to have a perspective on it is to say, okay, I'm viewing the situation for what it is what it is, and I'm gonna move on from this situation. And in doing this, innately, I am growing from this situation. So the situation I'm going through, I'm gonna make sure that I use this situation to develop onward from this point on and continue on my progress and continue on my path to achievement, continue on my journey through becoming stronger when it comes to mentally. You guys always hear me talking about a lot of similar things when it comes to mentally, but this is what I'm finding out through the experience. This is the truth that I am dealing with and the truth that I'm finding out, so I speak nothing other than the truth. I'm not going to sit here and just tell you guys whatever I think you want to hear or whatever I think people would like to listen to or whatever I think people would be entertained by. I care not much of that, but what I do care of is spreading the truth of the reality reached through experiences that I've had to deal with. And not just experiences that I've dealt with, but experiences that you possibly and probably have dealt with, but that I have witnessed others dealing with, and that I can derive some sort of wisdom and knowledge around these experiences and therefore share it with you people. So dealing with, or with you beings, whoever may be watching, and let it be known if you are watching. Show a sign. And when it comes to mentally, like I said, all these things that you go through, mentally making you stronger, mentally making you a more superior mind, mentally putting you in a more mental space where you can see things even clearer. And now you know, okay, things are this certain way. When I deal with these certain situations, mentally I got to take this concept and drag it to this next situation because I got through this situation and that took me to dealing with this mental concept that now I'm bringing through all situations that I'm going to have to deal with. And that's something I've called developing a stronger mental state of being. Developing a mental state of being that has more perspective to it. Developing a mental state of being that has more conscious awareness to it. That is what we're talking about when I constantly say becoming mentally stronger, becoming more mentally wiser, more mentally knowledgeable. All these things that you can reach by going through situations that you may find yourself in where it puts you in a situation to have to grow up, to have to grow out, to have to grow through, to have to grow about whatever it is you are dealing with. Okay? You look at anything that you see that is something that is naturally occurring on this planet, and you will see that they grow through time. Whatever situation they are in, you look at them in that situation, and then you look at them in another situation, and you will see that they have grown. This is not just the deal with people, this is the deal with things, this is the deal with places. Things grow through different experiences that they go through. Therefore, use the situations that you're going through in a way to help your development, in a way to help your growth on the path that you're dealing with in your life. And through that process, become stronger mentally. Through that process, gain, like I said, gain more stability when it comes to mentally. If you do have all situations like this that you're dealing with at constant times, then that just goes to tell you that you have work that needs to be done. That goes to tell you that your work is not quite done. You have more growing to do and to be a part of and to go through that growing in order to enhance your development from that point onward. So any difficult situation that when you go through something mentally, you, by saying it is what it is, you're gonna automatically have the plan for how to get through that situation. You're gonna automatically be able to start developing that, let's say, process that you're gonna follow through when it comes to getting through that situation, when it comes to getting through that scenario successfully. And when it comes to that, you're gonna know, okay, mentally, I need to move about this way when it comes to mentally in this situation. Mentally, I need to not do this thing when it comes to mentally. Mentally, I need to be aware of these specific things when it comes to this situation. Mentally, I need to be unaware of these specific things when it comes to mentally in this situation. Mentally, I need to project that I am aware of certain things when it comes to situation. Mentally, I need to project that I am unaware of certain things in the situation, whatever that may be, in order to realize, hey, how you move is how you move. And learning better ways how to move about a situation are going to be ways that you enhance your mental state of being on the path that you're dealing with and on the situations that you are faced to be. And sometimes these situations are going to put you in a situation where you need to grow. And that's up to you to be able to do that. That's up to you to initiate that process and not have these situations that you're going through take you back a step in your process. Not have these situations that you're dealing with make you fall back, make you fall even more into whatever it is or whatever that situation is or whatever situation that situation is putting you in. But actually growing forward and going beyond the situation that is trying to affect you in that way is how you maintain your power of that situation. And when it comes to mentally, being able to bring that mental experience that you've gotten from that situation into your next situations and moving from that point onward. And when it comes to physically being in a situation where you're forced to be in a situation to grow on from something, this is all about learning how to move when it comes to physically. How do you, in a situation, act when you're in a situation where you gotta expect and you gotta come to the realization it is what it is. There's certain things that I have to do. From that point on, you have the awareness of, I gotta move like this. I gotta have these physical actions. I can't have these physical actions anymore. I can't move like this anymore. And from that point on, you are able to figure out the right ways to move. Figure out the right actions to have when it comes to physically. Figure out, okay, I need to go about this situation in this fashion when it comes to physically. I need to go about this situation in this position, or not this position, but in this action when it comes to physically. Physically, I have to have that perspective and have the realization of all things that I have dealt with in regards to something similar to this situation, and reflect and be able to have that perspective of, okay, physically, I'm seeing the situation for what it is, and this is not going to outweigh me on my path when it comes to physically. This is not going to move me on my path when it comes to physically. This is something that is a mere minuscule thing that I have to deal with. It's a minor inconvenience for me to have to deal with this. And through having that perspective of how serious the situation is, what is the depth of the situation? Of course, you're going to be in situations where you're forced to be in a situation to grow in massive amounts, or you're forced to be in a situation to grow in less massive amounts, but in amounts that are nonetheless part of your path and part of your path of advancing on your journey in life. And so physically, any type of roadblock that comes in your way, anything that's posed there or positioned in your way to stop you along your progress, or to put you in a situation that may be difficult, put you in a situation that may be challenging, put you in a situation that you might not want to have to deal with, put you in a situation that you feel like you've already dealt with that you don't want to have to deal with again, put you in a situation that you don't want to have to deal with because you think that you've gotten into a position where you never have to deal with this stuff ever again. I'm telling you right now, you will have these situations come about, and you'll think to yourself, how am I even accepting? How am I even around this in having these things in my reality put me in a situation like this? Well, at the end of the day, you cannot control everything around you, but what you can do is you can create the reality as best as you can when it comes to the responsibility that you have to put forward your own actions through every situation that you're in, and to at least lead by example. Therefore, you can have that effect and start to create the reality, and therefore you do have an influence on your physical surroundings, or your physical person, places, or things that you have to deal with, in a way that it is in regards to the growth and development of all individuals involved, of all persons, people, places, and things and beings that are involved in this situation. So when it comes to those types of things, see how things are changing. See what is perspiring in these situations. From situation to situation, how are you traveling from situation to situation when it comes to physically? And in seeing how you're traveling from situation to situation when it comes to physically, you can figure out what's your mental perspective on that. What is your emotional perspective on that? Or what could you expect your mental perspective to be viewing that as? What can you expect your emotional perspective to view that as? What can you derive out of this situation that you're going through when it comes to physically, where you're deriving a spiritual system or a spiritual perspective out of the situation that you're in when it comes to physically? And deriving that perspective, deriving that what it is that you think or expect to be going through when it comes to mentally, emotionally, and spiritually about what it is that you're going through when it comes to physically, boom, you're already that much wiser. Boom, you're already that much more knowledgeable about the situation that you're going about. So you can go through anything when it comes to physically. Anything could perspire, and you will be able to mend that storm. You will be able to go through the storm. And realizing that through that storm, it's going to clear out when it's over. And not only that, but when you're dealing with certain things when it comes to physically, paying attention to how things have perspired in the situation when it comes to physically, paying attention to all these things are going to help you to realize, situation, I'm viewing the situation for what I see it at, therefore it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the situation. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this shouldn't have happened, or let's take this back, let's not have these actions occur again, or these actions actually didn't happen because they actually did, and pretend like they didn't happen or whatnot. No, you got to stand on the actions that you put forward. You got to be a real man and a real woman and realize that you are responsible for your physical actions, and that's the part that you can play in the situations that you're dealing with. So out of whatever the situation is that you're dealing with when it comes to physically, make sure that you are physically in your power. Make sure that you're growing through the situations that you're going through by realizing it is what it is, and you got to lead by example when it comes to physically. If things are falling in the physical state of being, or the physical existence, or the physical experience or situation that you're in, then why don't you be the one? Why don't you be the one to hold that thing up? Why don't you be the one to lead by example in order to be the strong one to build that thing up when it comes to physically? Be the strong one to mend the situation when it comes to physically. Be the one who has the grit, who has the physical strength, who has the physical experience to be able to grow through the situation in a prosperous way. To go through that situation by gaining more wisdom physically, by gaining more knowledge when it comes to physically, by gaining more experience when it comes to physically. Therefore, whatever situation you go through, you can continuously get better and continuously go through each situation. And just to say, there's all sorts of situations that one's going to have to go through. I've already spoken about how, the level of situation that you could be dealing with when it comes to physically, but that's something that you're going to have to go through regardless. So why not, while going through these situations that you're going to have to go through regardless, grow through these situations and be able to use them to enhance your development, enhance your growth through the experience that you're going through from that point onward, and to be able to go through something in a way where you are stronger for what you have gone through. Not in a way where physically you have become weaker. Not in a way where physically someone, some person, some place or thing or experience or situation has gotten the best of you when it comes to physically. No, but being able to be on top of that situation when it comes to physically, regardless of what situation you're going through, being able to be the one who is, let's say, a leader in the situation, the one who has the correct way of going about the situation, has the correct actions that they know to use in this situation. Therefore, you can grow through these situations that you are going through. And the simple fact is, I've heard already from a great already that I've heard speaking before, a chosen, and for sure he is a chosen one, and his name Elijah Amin. You can find him on YouTube. He's the first person who I heard talking about the concept of what you go through, you grow through. And when I heard him say that, I resonated with that so much. So I just want to point that out there and throw that out there, that I first heard that concept from him, and it's so true. And that truth will always stand the reality that it is in. It will always stand the test of time, and regardless of what that may be. And that's just proof, the fact that I'm speaking about it as well, that is a true statement. And so I'm kind of going with that concept that I've heard, but that's just because he put the words out there. Of course, it's a concept that we're all far too familiar of, but he was the one who spoke that into existence, at least from my perspective. So I'm just sharing that with you guys, and I'm sharing that power to him, and power to those of you that know who that is. I'm sure that you all know how inspirational, how wise, how knowledgeable, and just in all honesty, how much I truly respect him, and just giving him the credit where it's due. And when it comes to, we all know this perspective of, we gotta grow through what we go through. We gotta go through it, and what we're going through, we have to grow through. As far as mentally, the things that we have to go through, we grow through. As far as physically, the things we have to go through, we have to grow through. As far as emotionally, the things that we go through, we have to grow through. As far as spiritually, the things we go through, we have to grow through. And that's just it at the end of the day. So this concept, that's kind of where I got a little bit of inspiration for this concept. But not only that, I went through a situation recently where, hey, I posted something on my community tab on YouTube, and I said, situations that put you in a situation to grow up and realize it is what it is. Enhance your self-development through the experience and onward. And that's another thing, is being able to use the situation to enhance your development. Use the situation to push your development onward from that situation that you're going through into the next situations. And, he talks about the chosen ones. He talks about, and not just any of the, what you hear about, oh, God's chosen ones, or the chosen ones out of the Bible, or anything of that nature. But he talks about really what it means to truly be connected to God, or what it means to truly be a chosen one. So respect to that, no matter what, respect to that. And in regards to moving on through this video, we're going to take a short intermission, and I'm right back at it. And so a lot of us, those are the things that we go through, challenging things that we have to end up growing through, and have to be coming out of that, and have to come out of that situation a stronger version of ourselves. Have to come out of that situation mentally stronger. have to come out of that situation physically stronger, have to come out of that situation mentally and emotionally and spiritually stronger than the way we were previously to that situation occurring. So moving into emotionally, being in a position and going through a position where you're put in a position to realize it is what it is and grow up in order to enhance your development from that point onward when it comes to emotionally. Don't get all wrapped up in your emotions. Whatever situation that you're dealing with, you realize that you're going to feel a certain way about it regardless. So why not feel as strong as you can about the situation? Why not feel like you're in control when it comes to your emotional state of being, when it comes to going through that situation? Why not go through that situation while gaining emotional strength through dealing with that situation and through growing through that situation? Why not be moved when it comes emotionally? Why not take the high road when it comes to emotionally, whenever it comes to what you're dealing with, rather than having some low vibrational feeling about the situation, like, man, that situation, I'm not going to care about that situation. I'm just going to detach from that situation because it made me feel like this. Or I'm not going to care about that situation. I'm just going to detach from that situation because it made me feel like that, or whatever that may be. But taking your emotional power and taking your power back and realizing, no, I'm going to grow through this situation. I'm going to be stronger than I was before by growing through this situation when it comes emotionally, by becoming emotionally persistent, becoming emotionally perseverant through whatever it is that you're dealing with. It doesn't matter what the situation makes you feel. It doesn't matter what kind of situation you're in and you have this emotional reaction to the situation that you're going through. You can grow through that situation, and you can in a way where this is enhancing your development and your growth in regards to your life and in regards to the path and the journey that you're on. Don't let anything hold you back when it comes emotionally. Don't let anything pull you down when it comes emotionally. Don't let anything beat you up when it comes emotionally. Don't let anything tear you down when it comes emotionally. Grow through that and go through that shit by being strong. Be emotionally present. Be emotionally reactive to what you are going through. Be emotionally aware and be emotionally upholding of that perspective of the truth when it comes emotionally. Not being in emotions of delusional, not being in emotions of, like I said, delusion. Being able to perceive with pure emotional intuition and pure emotional awareness of the situation that it is that you're going through. And by knowing that you're upholding these certain virtues and these certain values emotionally, you can go through a situation by being emotionally present. You can go through a situation by being able to feel certain things when it comes emotionally. You can go through a certain situation by being emotionally available, by being emotionally vulnerable, and not being emotionally closed off. Of course, you're going to go through situations where maybe it's valuable, maybe it's the right thing to do to be, let's say, emotionally a little bit distant, or emotionally, I'm going to play these cards when it comes emotionally, when it comes to the situation. It is whatever you have to do in order to get yourself through that situation while staying protected through that situation. Not just emotionally, but physically, mentally, emotionally, and particularly staying spiritually protected in regards to your path, in regards to your spiritual existence when it comes to protecting that. But when we're talking about emotionally, being able to grow through a situation emotionally, you can grow through that. You can become more emotionally stronger. You can become more emotionally progress through your, path that you're on when it comes to emotionally growing through something that you're going through and emotionally realizing it is what it is. I'm going to have to certainly feel this way. I might have to feel this way. Certainly, I won't feel this way forever, but in the time being and while I'm getting through the situation, I may have to feel some uncomfortability. I may have to feel some odd energy when it comes to emotionally. I may have to deal with some sort of emotion that may be something that I don't want to deal with. I don't care if it's sadness. I don't care if it's regret, doubt, guilt, shame, whatever it is. Realizing and be able to go through that situation while having the perspective of it is what it is when it comes emotionally, you're going to be able to get through that. You're going to be able to push forward when it comes emotionally. I think that a lot of people are striving to become more emotionally strong, definitely the older that you get. I think that when you are becoming older, you become more emotionally independent and you become more able to be, and this isn't the case for everyone, but it certainly, god damn, I don't know what the hell just happened, but nonetheless, I think I need to drink some water. Certainly, one should be growing when it comes emotionally, and the older that you get, the more growing that you do from situation to situation, you emotionally mature. And you're emotionally maturing to not be so dependent on what other people feel, to not be so dependent on how your emotional state of being is reacting to the world that you're in or to your own existence in a way where you're looking for external validation, or you're looking to feel a certain way in regards to certain things externally mentally, in regards to certain things externally emotionally, in regards to certain things externally physically, in regards to certain things externally when it comes to spiritually. But the older that you grow and the more experience that you go through and grow through when it comes to emotionally, you can be internally, let's say, strong when it comes emotionally. The more that you go through these situations and the more that you grow through these situations when it comes to emotionally. I mean, that's just what it's all about. You wouldn't want to go through a situation and then just stay stuck in that emotion forever. Go through a situation and not be able to deal with and, move through and go through the motions through the situation that you're going through, but be able to, feel through the situation and be able to advance on your path when it comes to developing, advance on your path when it becomes, being able to get through a situation that you have to get through when it comes to emotionally. Of course, we're just breaking down, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, being in situations where you're forced to realize it is what it is, and you're forced to grow up, and you're forced to be put in a position where you got to advance and you got to move forward and use this position and use this situation to enhance your path on the journey that you are on. And when it comes to spiritually, you could have all sorts of things going on when it comes to spiritually. I'm not going to quite get into everything when it comes to spiritually, but when it comes to spiritually dealing with certain situations where you have to be spiritually strong, you have to be spiritually resistant, you have to be spiritually persistent to whatever it is that you're going through. You need to maintain your spiritual strength. You need to maintain being a strong spirit regardless of what it is that you're going through. You need to stay spiritually protected in regards to what it is that you're going through, and not allow the situation that you're in to hinder you when it comes to spiritually. Not allow the situation that you're in to stress you when it comes to spiritually. Not allow the situation that you're in to let's say put you in a deficit, or blind you is a good word when it comes to spiritually. Don't let that position or situation that you're in blind you when it comes to spiritually, but use that situation to use your spiritual ability to see the perspective of whatever it is that you're going through, and use it as a way to become more spiritually strong. Use it as a way to become more spiritually risen. Use it as a way to become more spiritually advanced on the path that you're in. Use it as a way to develop a new spiritual system. Use it as a way to derive out of the situation, whatever that situation may be that you're going through, to be spiritually strong, to be spiritually wise, to be spiritually knowledgeable, and grow through that situation that you're going through. When it comes to spiritually, like I said, you'll have to deal with all sorts of things. We're not going to get into specifically what exactly you're going to have to deal with, because I think a lot of us know. I think a lot of things that when it comes to spiritually, these are things that we just sense on when it comes to our spiritual abilities. These are things that we just know that we're dealing with, regardless of if you can't think about it, regardless of if you can't, let's say, see it when it comes to physically in your reality, regardless of if you can't, let's say, emotionally feel it. There's things that our spiritual states of being and our spiritual senses can pick up on that aren't necessarily any of those other states of being. These are things that are deeper than those specific states of beings. So being able to know for yourself, okay, spiritually I'm growing right now. I might not be able to, let's say, point to a specific thought or point to a specific feeling or point to a specific physical thing and be like, okay, I can point at this and I can realize I'm spiritually growing. It's something that you have to know for yourself, that you're spiritually growing and going through that situation. By growing through that situation when it comes to spiritually, you got to know for yourself that whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether that be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically, You got to know that for the greater good, that this is working out for you, and that because you're a strong spirit and that you are putting power behind you being a strong spirit, you're going to be spiritually protected through whatever it is that you're going through, and that you're not going to be spiritually weak through whatever it is you're going through, and that you're going to stay spiritually strong, and that you're going to stay spiritually in your power, and that you're going to stay spiritually powerful enough to get through any situation that comes your way, spiritually in a space when it comes to spiritually, that you can see things are what they are. It is what it is when it comes to the situation that you're in, mentally, physically, emotionally, and having that spiritual perspective that I'm growing through this situation. This may be a tough situation. This may be a hard situation. This may be an uncomfortable situation. This may be any X amount of situation or X explanation of situation or type of situation that you're going through. You have to know, and you have to have trust in yourself in being a strong spirit, that you are growing spiritually, that you are advancing on your path when it comes to spiritually, that you are advancing on your journey when it comes to spiritually. I don't want to hear any of the, but there's no proof of the spirit, or there's no proof of spirituality, or spirituality is just a gimmick, or what do you mean the spiritual state of being? Why do you talk about this? Well, I'll tell you why I talk about it. And you can look at any of my videos and you can tell me you can't tell me that I'm not on my path when it comes to spiritually. You can't tell me that I'm not on my journey when it comes to spiritually. You cannot tell me that I'm not fulfilling my purpose in life when it comes to spiritually, and that I don't have more purposes to fill when it comes to spiritually. And if you're telling yourself that, well, if you're going to tell me that, then you might be telling yourself that as well. So why don't you reflect at yourself and realize that, hey, maybe I need to do some growth when it comes to spiritually. Maybe I need to develop some spiritual awareness when it comes to spiritually. Maybe I need to develop some spiritual awareness when it comes to my consciousness awareness, when it comes to my spirituality. And even being able to be aware of these things. So I don't want to hear any of that. But when it comes to what I do want people to be going through, and what I do possibly want to hear, is people being strong when it comes to spiritually. People embracing their spiritual abilities. People finding their spiritual abilities. People finding their spiritual path. People coming in connection with your spiritual path. I don't care what it is. I've gotten to a point where it doesn't matter what happens. I don't want to, I'm going to be aware of, but it doesn't matter what is occurring when it comes to mentally. It doesn't matter what is occurring when it comes to physically. It doesn't matter what is occurring when it comes to emotionally. If I don't perceive that the spiritual state of being is also being tended to, or it is even in effect, or let's say, well, it's always in effect, but or being, let's say, aware of, then you know what? Don't seek or don't speak to those who don't seek to better themselves, if you are one that better themselves. That's what I think. And what I want to see is, and not sitting here and saying, oh, everyone needs to be spiritual, turning to a monk or whatever, or anything like that. But find what that spirituality is for yourself. Find what spirituality can be for you. Find what spirituality can be for you on your path. Find what your spiritual purposes are in your journey in life. And like I said, I want to see people being able to advance when it comes to spiritually. I want to see people being able to learn, gain knowledge, gain perspective when it comes to spiritually. Therefore, I can have more people, more beings, whatever you may be, to relate to. And not something that I need, but that would just be something that we can come together on a note where it's like, okay, we can relate to each other when it comes to spiritually. We can spiritually connect. We can do all these things like mentally connect. We can do all these things like physically connect. We can do all these things like emotionally connect. But can we spiritually connect? Can we spiritually grow? Can we spiritually be all on the same page? Can we spiritually be creating the world that we want, regardless of physically, mentally, and spiritually? Rather emotionally, by being in the right space when it comes to spiritually, we can usher in a new world mentally. By being in the right space when it comes to spiritually, we can usher in a new world when it comes to mentally, physically. By being in the right space when it comes to spiritually, we can usher in a new reality when it comes to emotionally. By being in the right space when it comes to spiritually, and doing all these things and putting all this work into the reality, we can spiritually reach an even more expanded and even more greater space when it comes to spiritually, an even greater spiritual plane of existence. And by going through a situation that you are put into a situation to grow through. For example, this video is a simple example of what I would explain the concept of being in a situation where you're forced to be in a situation to grow. And to grow and realize that it is what it is. Maybe I haven't been able to explain everything to a specific T of the perfection, pronouncing every single word as best as I can, whatever that may be, but I got off the concept that I needed to get off when it comes to mentally. I explained the concept that I needed to explain when it comes to physically. I explained what I needed to talk about when it comes emotionally. I put out the message when it comes to spiritually. I put out the word that I needed to share when it comes to spiritually in order to move along in my spiritual path, in order to advance. So use that as an example if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. If you don't have any feeling about what I'm talking about. If you don't have any physical example of what I'm talking about. And I'm showing you and making you aware of spiritually how you can have the perspective of, okay, what are all these things? And breaking it down for you guys, what are all these things? That's going to be it for this video. Everyone stay well. I'm out.